Welcome to Module 5, Grand Opening Readiness and Post-Opening. Today, we arrive at the capstone of the launch journey, Lesson 5.5, Establishing the Permanent HR Governance. The final, lasting task of the pre-opening HR leader is paradoxical. You are effectively orchestrating your own setup team's structural obsolescence. A launch task force operates in a chaotic, project-based reality driven by urgent deadlines and massive hiring sprints. Once the doors open, that frantic energy must be converted into a stable, long-term talent management engine. This shift is achieved through permanent governance. It is the institutional mechanism that transitions HR from a temporary setup crew into an embedded strategic partner. Securing long-term organizational health requires locking in 3 specific pillars: compensation reviews, development plans, and succession planning. Hardwiring these rigid, cyclical systems into the daily operational life of the property ensures that the governance remains permanent rather than advisory. Without establishing this precise framework, the momentum of a successful grand opening will inevitably degrade into post-launch talent stagnation. In the pre-opening phase, compensation is often a series of ad hoc hiring negotiations. Post-opening, this must immediately transition to a strict, predictable annual cycle. HR is responsible for driving this cycle by conducting annual market compensation benchmarking. This process requires revisiting the baseline data we established in Lesson 1.2. By continuously checking current market rates, HR can accurately adjust the property's pay scale and ensure salaries remain competitive. HR also maintains absolute governance over the annual performance review process, detailed in Lesson 3.5. The goal here is fairness, which is achieved by enforcing a mathematically consistent link between an employee's KPI performance and their resulting compensation adjustments. To enforce this fairness, the HR leader must establish a formal structural body, the Compensation Committee. This committee mandates the direct inclusion of the general manager and the director of finance alongside HR. The committee possesses specific operational authority, formally approving all major salary adjustments and bonus payouts across the entire property. This centralized approval model prevents individual department heads from making rogue, inconsistent salary decisions that create internal friction. By routing decisions through this committee, you guarantee strict financial control for ownership while maintaining verifiable internal equity for the workforce. The second pillar requires the complete migration of all isolated training materials into a centralized system. This means formally adopting career pathing models directly into the learning management module of your HRIS. Under this system, there is a hard mandate. Every single employee must maintain an active, formalized development plan. This plan must explicitly name the employee's next targeted role and outline the exact mentorship and training modules required to achieve it. These development plans serve as rigid annual requirements, institutionalizing the promises made to staff during the initial recruitment phase. To force accountability, these development plans are structurally integrated into the annual performance review cycle, requiring all managers to actively track their progress year-round. The financial mechanism driving this is the continuous reallocation of the property's training budget, established in Lesson 1.3. Once the initial hiring wave is complete, upskilling becomes the dominant focus for the HR function. The data captured in the HRIS directs these upskilling funds precisely to the competency gaps identified in individual development plans. General, untargeted training yields a low return on investment. Specific upskilling tied directly to mapped promotion pathways yields a high one. Shifting financial resources from mass onboarding to targeted upskilling is the defining characteristic of a mature, post-opening HR function. Succession planning serves as the ultimate long-term stress test of a property's HR governance. The first operational step is to identify high-potential staff members, often called HIPOs, from within the general workforce. These individuals are targeted explicitly to fill future key operational and executive roles. The mechanism used to identify these individuals is the annual talent review. This process requires the mandatory participation of the HR leader, general manager, and department heads. The talent review has 3 operational objectives: assess raw potential, identify specific competency gaps, and create targeted development paths. A primary example of a targeted development path is utilizing cross-departmental rotational assignments to build well-rounded leaders who understand the entire operation. This entire succession architecture is designed to achieve a very specific, quantitative goal: The objective is to build an internal talent pipeline capable of filling 70 to 80% of all leadership vacancies. Hitting this metric delivers an immediate financial and operational benefit by minimizing the costly, high-risk reliance on external recruitment. A self-sustaining internal pipeline protects the property's unique culture and ensures absolute operational continuity, regardless of individual turnover. Compensation governance. This unified system enforces talent growth and accountability into the daily routine of every single department head. It also marks the professional evolution of the HR leader, shifting from a reactive pre-opening problem solver to a proactive systems architect. Achieving this institutionalization is the final, most critical lesson of the entire pre-opening lifecycle. This rigorous structural approach is heavily emphasized in the strategic HR leadership programs at the Europe Hotel School London. The initial hiring, training, and setup of a new property represents a massive, high-risk human capital investment by ownership. Establishing this permanent governance structure is the only reliable mechanism to secure and compound the return on that investment for years to come.